Hey, so this is our first, I think, proper podcast for the Experimentation Group, and I'm here today with Kashyap Reddy from the CEO of HitWicket. Hi, Kashyap.
Hi, Tom. Pleasure to be here, and it's wonderful to be interacting with you and your team.
Amazing, and likewise, we've had a really. So you were actually the first studio to get in touch when we put the call out about 6 weeks ago. So it was super exciting to get that email from you, and then to start the conversation. And as of I think yesterday, we've completed the AA test on the experiment that we're going to be running on HitWicket. So we should be able to actually push the proper experiment live this week, which is
Great.
also like crazy exciting. It would be really interesting to hear a kind of introduction from you about your background.
Your chap. So, first up, as I said, it's wonderful that you guys took this initiative of sharing knowledge with the gaming industry. I think there's so much to learn, and we're happy that we are the first to put up our hands and just start moving forward, right? So, going back in time, ever since I was a kid, I was very fascinated about game design back in school. And I was 10-year old. I used to keep drawing board games in my notebook. I used to not study. I should not let others study. Get them to come and play my games. So what always fascinated me rather, is how to get people to have fun, right? What does fun
Right.
actually mean, right? And then growing up in India, cricket is more than a sport. It's like a religion where grandfathers teach you, fathers teach you, your friends start playing everything. It's like a social family thing. And that's how you end
Mm.
up picking it up. Now, I used to always observe people like, what is it about cricket that makes it sticky, right? So that even after the
Mm.
match, people are always talking about it. So that's where the idea of a cricket game, which captures the emotion of a cricket fan, was always there at the back of my mind, right? And then after I grew up, I used to play a lot of football strategy games. There was one game for which I was the number one player from India as well. Yeah, so the concept of a strategy game for sports I thought was incredible, because you could play online, you could play with people from all over the world, and
Mm.
that like super cool. And yeah, and then I grew up. I became an engineer, so I could program and do a lot of tech as well. And that's why I decided, okay, while I was working in Sweden, actually, I thought one cold winter night in Sweden, I thought, okay, let's go back to India. Let's try to build something big in gaming and see what we can do. And that's kind of the origin story of HitWicket, actually. And got a bunch of team together, and we iterated. First time we're building a game professionally, and a lot
Hmm.
of learnings down the way. And I believe we have a great product right now, a game that anybody, people of all ages, can play, just like a cricket fan.
Mm. Well, that's one of the things I really like about HitWicket is it's got the feel when you're in the core of the game, like playing the actual the innings. It it feels like 2020 cricket. You know, it's got that excitement of something's always happening. You've got the atmosphere going. Yeah, it's got a real kind of compelling and I think like genuine atmosphere to it that
Mhm.
feels like you're actually at a cricket game. It's nice. I like it.
Yep. Cricket is the second largest sport in the world. And we've always believed that this is a massive market. And so our focus was, we're going to bet on the market. We're going to make the best product for the cricket market. There's a billion people out there. And how do you make a product that can actually resonate with so many people across different socioeconomic classes, right?
Mm.
And that's why we have to keep it very simple to play, but have that depth to engage the users for years and years.
What would be really interesting is to understand a bit more about the performance of the game. So I know it's been in market for a few years and it's attracted like a lot of downloads, but the problem or the thing which we've been discussing is retention, isn't it? So it'd be interesting to talk
Right.
about that.
Right. So when we build this game, it's a sports strategy game for cricket, and something like this doesn't exist in the market yet,
Mm.
right? And generally, when people talk about cricket, it's all about like a swipe-based mechanics, which are
Mm.
quite prevalent in the market. So when users come and download the game and they start playing, they're introduced to new things, right?
Mm.
There's a lot of learning that happens initially. Yes, it's
Mm.
easy to use, but the amount of information that they have to process and all that, that is a bit of a hurdle. And that's why we keep continuously iterating on the first time user experience. And even in our mechanics, over time, there's been a fair amount of feature bloat, I would say, that has come in, where we also want to isolate what is the part that's actually resonating with users and what are the things we can actually slim down and all. So we took a step back and like, okay, let's reevaluate everything that we have going in the game. Now we do have a fair amount of data of what's actually working. Now, how do you read data to identify what is good to keep and what is not? I think that's a very tricky and hard part in games. And yeah, working with the experimentation group, I think it's helping us get our framework right of how to make these hard decisions.
Yes, a couple of things spring to mind when you say that. The first is explaining cricket to Phil, who from the team, who is American, so kind of like, you know, big on American football and basketball and things like that, but cricket not so much. And actually, I found that the explanation revealed to me exactly how complicated cricket is. Like, I thought it would take a couple of minutes, and half an hour later, I'm still like, this is the crease, and these are the wickets, and like, I mean, there's a lot of complexity to it. So you've done a great job to slim that down. But I would agree. I think like where the core is very compelling, and there is, it's very accessible. The meta, I personally, and it would be like super interesting to kind of dig into the data a bit more. The meta, I'm never entirely clear about what the best thing to do next is. There's always about 6 things to do, but I'm never entirely sure, like, given the currency that I have, what's the best way to spend it? And once I've spent it, what reward have I got? Like, have I definitely done the right thing, or have I just done the thing which was on the screen at that time? If you see what I mean. And so I think kind of, I agree with you that I think part of the experimentation technique is getting down to the thing which really matters. And so part of that necessarily is potentially like slicing away at things until you get to the bit, the core, the most fun bit. And I feel like maybe in the gameplay, that's easier to get to than the meta, where there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of questions.
Absolutely. I mean, as you rightly said, it's a game of decision making, right? And with the limited amount of information that's there, the probabilities and all, how do you make the best possible decision in that scenario? And one is at a moment to moment, every ball you're making a decision. Next is after the match, what are the strategic decisions you can make? How do you adjust your lineup? Whom should I invest in? So a lot of choices the user has, right? And this is what makes the game sticky for people who get it, go through the zone and understand all these things. We tend to see that, you know, people start playing it for months and they keep spending a lot of time inside the game. People spend like 42 minutes on the game every day. Right?
No way.
Because they have so many things to look at and so many things to tweak around with, right? And it's actually fascinating to see how they are able to mold things that even we haven't imagined. Like there are so many levers for people to pull, and they manage to pull it in different ways, apply different strategies as they keep progressing inside the game. So on that bit, we're like truly fascinated with how people are able to create their own content based on this. While our approach has always been keep it super simple for people to play and just make them decide. And then people get on, make their own mini maps in their head on how they're going to progress. But yeah, as I said, that getting them through that initial bar of that easy to play mechanics to understand the meta, because this is a meta that's like pretty new to the audience and the market. And that's why we have to do a bit of heavy lifting in educating them about it, or simplifying a bunch of things, or hiding some of the complexity and things like that.
Okay, so I've got the game here. I'm going to get it up on the screen so we can do a little walkthrough. Here it is. So what we've got here is the home screen, and right in the middle of the screen, you can see my team, the Lords Legends. I was shocked that nobody had the name Lords Legends already. That just felt like a real classic to me. So we've made it to the Silver League 2, I think, so far. And what you can see around the screen is, I mean, it's a fairly classic kind of layout, but there's a lot of stuff. So in the top left-hand corner, we have the kind of rank that we've made so far. So we're in the Silver League. And then as we work around clockwise around the screen, we've got the currency that we've amassed. Working down the right-hand side, you've got these different forms of the game that you can play, like daily events and specific challenges that are kind of sometimes ask you to play in a particular way, like PvP. I've just unlocked this morning. Had a quick go at that. It was quite fun. It was very different playing the bowling than the batting. And then the league, which is the main progression mechanic. And then along the bottom, you've got the season pass. You've got the training, which is how you level up your squad in the middle. And then on the left-hand side, you have the shop, the team, where you can kind of progress your team, I guess. And then the alliance, which is team play, which I haven't actually I've tried to join a team, but haven't been able to do that successfully yet. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. So given that, I mean, why don't we play a quick game and then we can demo the kind of mechanic to people watching. So we're going to play. So here we go. So this is quite interesting. So the way that we play the game is we're always the second innings, right? So this other team, BD Cricket Board, have made 76 out of for 8 wickets. So we have to exceed 76 with our batters. Interesting little missions that you've got here, so you can get extra points for winning the game, for scoring 13 runs in an over. I've got to say that'd be easy. Get 10 dot balls in a match. That's an interesting one. And then finally, this is interesting here. So fast mode. I know Phil is really interested in this as an experiment. He thinks that might be really attractive or appealing to like quite advanced players that just want to progress, that just want to grind their progress. I tried it the other day, and to be honest, I mean, I think this might make a good experiment, because I'm not sure that I agree, because I feel like I was saying, the atmosphere of the game is part of the joy of it, you know. Like, okay, so we're going to start with a dot. Missed. Shocker. And so the way that you play the game is by, as the batter, you select the shot which you think is the most likely to come off. And part of the incentive of getting the right shot is that you build up this bar in the bottom right-hand corner, which unlocks a special ability. Oof, missed. Wow, not doing that well. So now, because I've missed so many shots, now the bowler has a special ability unlocked, which is hiding the likelihood of getting a shot. I'm going to save that. Wow. Okay, so now we're going to unlock our special ability, which doubles the chances of getting a high score. So now we're going to hit 4. Oof. All right, so we'll do one more shot. Otherwise, it's going to go on for too long. Wow. And then we'll quit the match so we can go and have a look at some other stuff. I know, I'm sorry, man, for ending in defeat.
You got one.
I know. So I feel like I've just embarrassed myself on this podcast. Like, normally I'm amazing at that game, and like so many dots. At least I didn't get a wicket. So this is another part of it, is where you can train your squad up, and I think this is like a central part of the meta, right? Where you've got, so when you start with these players with the brown kind of like frame around them, and they're not so good. And as you progress, you get to kind of pick up these players with the green border. And what you can do is go into a player if you have enough currency. So this guy's a little bit too good to be improved at the moment for me, as is this player. But you are able to, oh look, here we go. So this guy, Matt Lover, is going to cost us 6,400 points to get into the next level. So we can do that. And now he's slightly better. And particularly with batsmen, every 5 levels you unlock a different shot. So you can see on the right hand side here we've got on drive, straight drive, square cut, hook, helicopter, uppercut. We've unlocked some of those, but by getting to the level that we're at, and as we get to the next level, we'll unlock another shot and make him a better player. And there's other things you can do, such as unlock bats, skins, and that type of thing. So yeah, it's quite, I mean, as you were saying, like it's a really full featured game. Like there's a lot in here for me. And yeah, it's a lot of fun actually. Is there anything that you wanted to add from the walkthrough?
Yeah, I think you covered a fair bit on the capturing the essence and going through how there is stuff to do inside the match and even outside. There are various things that you can manipulate. And I think now that you've unlocked PvP, you will see all these things making a even bigger impact, right? When the competition gets really intense, then every 10%, 5% matters a lot, right? How you have left hand, right hand combination, what two set of characters are best combo, how the synergies get going and all. And that's kind of how we try to pace the users. Initially, it's a league which is a little simpler and you're able to make progress and collect all these characters. And then by the time you unlock PvP, you know how to play the game. You tend to be able to win much better. And then PvP opens up, then you have to min-max everything that you're doing. And that's what keeps the challenge going.
Yes. Yeah, I've got to say actually that's something that I kind of experienced yesterday when I had made pretty fast progress, and most of the time you're able to get to the target having lost maybe no or one wicket, whereas yesterday I actually got down to the last ball, and it's really exciting, you know, like when you've lost a couple of wickets and suddenly you're on your weaker batsman, and so it's a little bit, you have to make that call and which shot you're going to take a little bit more cautiously to actually get to the last ball and win. Like there was a genuine moment of like excitement there where I was like, yes, I did it. It was good.
Right. And that's why we see a lot of scope for experimentation, because cricket as it is, because there are a lot of numbers inside the game, there are a lot of micro interactions. There's so many levers to actually pull and experiment with actually. And over time, we have done a whole bunch of them. And yeah, I think there's still a lot more that we can actually do.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a good segue actually to the experiment that we're doing. So as we were saying a few minutes ago, like when we first started talking, the conversation was about retention and how to kind of increase the numbers of people coming back. So what we decided to do was focus in on the part of the game which we felt was the most fun. And so the idea of the experiment is to understand, is that genuinely true? Like if we flex up, so the hypothesis was that the most fun part of the game, like the core, is more fun than the meta. The actual playing of the game is more fun than going through the meta and improving your team. And the most fun part of the core is using the special ability. So that's when at the moment it's every 5 successful shots you're able to unlock something which either makes it more likely that you hit a big score or that your score sometimes is doubled. And so we decided to try flexing that to see if we unlock the ability more frequently to use a special ability, did that increase not retention but the return rate. So what David's really interested in, or David thinks is like a kind of interesting way to think about retention is once you get past something like D7 and you're starting to look at like D30 and maybe D60, D90, like it's so far out and it's going to take you so long to kind of get those learnings that actually it can be more immediate and more, I guess, prescient to look at return rate. So that's the percentage of people that played on one day play on the next day. And so that naturally, if you're improving the return rate, you will improve the retention, right? If you've got more players coming back tomorrow than from today than you have done before, then that's a great kind of sign that actually you've made the game more fun and your players, like this cohort of people that have the game installed on your phone, more of them are waking up the next day and being like, oh, I want to play Hitwicket today, than they were before. And so that's what we've done. That's what we set up with your team. We had lots of interesting, your team were amazing in kind of highlighting potential, issues in the experiment design, where obviously if you unlock the special ability more often, then that means you're more likely to score more quickly, which means that you're more likely, if we kept the total that you're chasing static, then you're going to get to that total more quickly. And therefore, you're not just testing the frequency with which people can use special abilities, you're also testing a shorter game. And so they were like, hang on, we should increase the target so you're getting to use the special ability more, but the game is still the same length, if that makes sense.
Yep. Actually, this was a very good conversation, because normally when we do a lot of A/B tests, this is something that we frequently notice, that they have, for all the KPIs, some go up, some go down, and then everything becomes tangled. Which one do we prioritize first and all that? But I think in this conversation, what came out was, if we're being able to isolate, what is the one thing that we want to test? If we want to test that, does activating special ability lead to more fun, which will in turn lead to people wanting to come back more and play more matches? If that is the thing, then we need to keep all else constant, the progression, the speed of matches, the win rate, everything constant, just activate it more number of times, and then let's see what happens. Right? So we had one group doing it much more number of times, and they created like 4 different sets. And I think, I'm really excited to see how things go from here, because it's pretty insightful. We're still in like day 0 in our journey. And I think the cricket market is so vast and there's so much of potential there. It's about getting that right product. And again, it's not something that is out there in the market. That one of the things is, it's not just we can take a direct reference and start plugging it in, right? A sports strategy game for cricket, there is nothing like that. So we got to do it the hard way, experiment, look at everything that's on the table, see which one is likely to give us the biggest bang, and take that risk. And we've always had this philosophy that we need to have continuous learning, fast, rapid experimentation, and just giving that insight that working with you guys has been insightful, in the sense that how should we think about this problem, right? And what should we prioritize? Yeah. So a lot of exciting stuff to do.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to having a look at the data. I think we're due to get it just before the Christmas break, or maybe just after. And then we can chat again about what actually happened.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. Speak soon.
Thank you, Tom. You too. Bye.